Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final weekend wrap of the 2024 AFL season. Now, this weekend wrap is going to have a little bit of a different format to it. Normally, I go over every game for 2 or 3 minute detail in order, but I won't be going in order this week. Instead, what I'll be doing is I'll be doing the games of little significance first and just running them over as quickly as I can before getting to the more bigger stuff. So, without further ado, I say, let's get on with it. The first game that occurred on Friday night was Melbourne versus Collingwood, and my God, this was an interesting one. Melbourne were obviously well and truly dead to the season, but Collingwood had some slight way of making it if they won by 90 or more, some insane margin to make up their horrible percentage. Look, one game in this overall meaningless game against 2 non-finals teams came to play, and that was Collingwood. I was at the game and Collingwood played just a fast, style attacking motion. I had people who were next to me saying, how did this team not play finals? And it really felt like that, the way this game was going, with how they were entering the ball, their ball movement. Nick Daicos was just insane. He single-handedly torched apart the Melbourne Demons midfield and defenders with 40 disposals, and I thought just their way they were getting their smalls involved was just so strong and so good. Granted, I felt like Melbourne just straight up gave up during this. They had a good effort throughout the season, but this game, they just flat out gave up and gave zero effort in how they wanted to attack the Collingwood midfield. To the point where, you could just say they're on their September break really quickly during this. But then the game got delayed because of a lightning storm of all things, and it was an awkward way to end the season for both teams. Luckily, a lot of Collingwood fans stuck around and saw their team just blitz Melbourne in the final few moments to end the season and get a little bit of confidence in 2025 with 4 wins out of their last 5. So yeah, but for Melbourne, just holy crap. I'll be doing off-season videos. They might be the main talking point of those videos, and not for good reasons. Next game I'll be talking about is Geelong versus West Coast at GMHBA Stadium, and if you believe that the Eagles' effort last week was bad, oh, do I have a treat for you. Jesus Christ, you thought that was bad? Well, let me introduce you to what the hell happened in the first quarter at GMHBA Stadium. I get Geelong are a good football team. I get Geelong are a contender. But to be down 100 points at halftime is a new level of ineptitude that is actually kind of worrying to see. Probably single-handedly cost Jared Schofield his job and really puts the concerns of some Eagles players under legit concern. Tom Wadigan on the K-Rock radio, which thank you so much for K-Rock for giving me this opportunity to be able to be in their booth and overall just see how they do it as part of some strong journalism experience. He said he thought that a Melbourne 2011 kind of result was on the cards for this Geelong Eagles game. It didn't turn into that, but it got brutal. Jeremy Cameron had a day out kicking 9 goals and looks firmly in charge for finals, and Geelong made up enough percentage to jump GLS on the ladder. They got past the Eagles, and now their first finals test awaits. The next game we'll be talking about at the MCG was between Richmond and Gold Coast. After bombing their season last week against Melbourne, the Suns went into the MCG and Dimma had one final trick he could pull on his old side. He could finally just go ahead and ruin their season and give them their first wooden spoon since 2007. But to be honest, this game was not about the actual game that was played. The Suns won a 30-point game. Their midfield played really well. Bolton and Rioli in what will be their final game in Richmond Jumpers tried to stall the affair, but they overall just couldn't handle the Suns' gunpowder. It wasn't about that though. At the end of the game, Richmond had one final farewell for all its retiring greats. Dylan Grimes, Marlon Pickett, who we all remember for that phenomenal 2019 grand final goal, and Dustin Martin for one final time. And seeing Dusty get full real and full emotional, it really brought a tear to my eye. It really, quite seriously, brought a tear to everyone's eye and made everyone legitimately reconcile and remember everything that he has given for this wonderful football club. Every Tigers fan came out of the MCG feeling a lot of emotions, but most of it was the end of an era, the end of their childhood. And now, with a wooden spoon in tow, a new era begins at Thailand. Next game we'll be talking about in the Saturday night slate was Brisbane versus Essendon. And let me tell you, I've had a lot of Surf 5 Tactica that I've been wanting to play as of late, and to be honest, this was the perfect game to play that. Especially early on when Brisbane were just dominating in the midfield, the defense was running rampant, Lachie Neale was just picking the ball up in rapid speed, getting one final stop for 3 votes, and Essendon, once again, just like last year, looked checked out. Granted, they did the right thing as compared to last week. They actually were playing Dyson Heppell. Should have happened last week in Sydney, but it's a thing, and they actually wore a really nice jersey to commemorate him and commemorate someone who's been such a legend to their football club. And someone who honestly it's going to be really disappointing to say that he didn't win a final with, because he truly was someone who bled red and black through and through, and has honestly been a great player to watch throughout his career. But in the fourth quarter, Essendon rose. Essendon did rise up the pressure and in one more push for the season, actually had a really strong final quarter, kicking 5-0 in the final quarter to ultimately just lose to Brisbane after Brisbane were 46 points up. Essendon go into another off-season with lots of things to change, but I think Brad Scott would have liked that fight back in the final quarter. Brisbane are in the finals in 5th, but I have serious red flags over what they are doing. They continuously threaten for the inaccuracy trials every single week with their kicking, and it's going to cost them a final if they don't stop it. And with how talented this list is, you seriously have to bank it. You just seriously have to bank in this era. And just again and yet again, a final quarter collapse I felt happened. Now they were up big enough to the point where it didn't lose in the game, but 6-0 in the last quarter is very dangerous work, and it happened previously against UIS and Collingwood, so it's a watch. Brisbane are in the finals. They will have a home final, but I have serious red flags on their ability to go far at the moment. They need to show a lot more in week 1, or else there's a chance they get booted out quickly. Now, the final game of the Saturday slate, other than one I'll talk about after this, was Sydney and Adelaide. And at the SCG, Sydney had the opportunity to rest up a few of their key stars now they had locked up and sealed up a minor premiership, but ultimately decided not to. The only star who really got rested up was Tom McCarthy, but that also might be concerns. But there were any concerns about Sydney being rusty, out of shape, falling off after starting off so well, peaking too early, I think they were rested on Saturday night. This was the Sydney we saw at the beginning of the season. Coming fast out of the block with strong midfield pressure. Incredible defense led by Dan Ramsey. How even Luke Parker got involved in the action in finale as they just flailed all over the Cooked Crows, who genuinely looks like they just want more season ahead. Some good stuff out of Ryan Philthorpe, but ultimately just a horrific season ending for the LA Crows. I can't believe I had this freaking team in the 8s heading into the year. They have seriously disappointed me, the Crows, and Matthew Nicks is under pressure heading into next year now. There is no doubt about it. Overall, Sydney, minor pressure locked up, 2 home finals locked up. Now, the road is simple. First final awaits. Now that we have gotten the main dead rubbers out the way, it's time to get into the serious finals ramifications. Now, before I begin these 4 games, let me remind you what needed to happen for each team. For Hawthorn, win and in against North Melbourne. For the Bulldogs, win and in against the Giants. For Carlton, win and in against the Saints. If any of those teams screw up and lose, it will be Freo's turn to take advantage and take hold of their own destiny. If all 3 win, Freo are out. Without further ado, let's get into the final few games of this season. Starting with Hawthorn v North Melbourne. In Tasmania, with Alistair Clarkson a chance to ruin the party for his old Hawks, Sam Mitchell instead gave a statement performance as, well, I'm not going to waste much time on this one either. Hawthorn won by 104, and it was just a procession party for them to get their ticket into the finals. And God, another win by over 10 plus goals. Their midfield was just absolutely rampant with Day, Lewis, Newcomb, Jack Uterman was coming up kicking goals as always. Jack Gunston and Dylan Lewis just played incredible in the forward line, and overall just Hawthorn just run rampant and just stormed over a pathetic North Melbourne, to be honest. The way North Melbourne played were pathetic. You wouldn't believe that these two sides weren't on equal playing field heading into the beginning of the season, because one stormed over the other like they have in most of their franchise history, and even crazier, one is headed to the finals whilst the other will be stuck in the draft. It is just insane what Hawthorn have done, and to be honest, this might have been the least surprising outcome, and I still think I'm shocked by how much they won by. 124 points heading into the finals is insane work. They are in, and by God, I am so excited to see how they go. Real wildcard, real danger heading into this. Now, heading into the Sunday slate, it will be the Bulldogs v the Giants, and by God, these clubs have history. You know about the 2016 preliminary final and how just insane of a game that was, and this one promised to be very much some of the same. In the biggest game in Mars Stadium Ballarat history, shout out to the multiple grand finals that stadium has hosted for North Ballarat over the years, and now it's hosting its biggest game yet. A back and forth affair against the informed Giants and the informed Bulldogs ended up turning into an all-on Bulldog onslaught by the second and third quarter, led by two men. Ed Richards, the young orange-haired demon just picking up the ball and doing whatever he wanted to be clear, and Marcus Bontempelli. It's simply the bomb. He just played absolutely magnificent and just absolutely incredible all over the ground. And he's just sharp, just dictating play like Tom Brady in his prime was just a key reason why the Dogs won. Aaron Lawson was phenomenal in defense, and Cody Waitman came up with some incredible goals as well. And if Sam Darcy doesn't get ya, Jamara Ugle-Hagan will. That's one thing you need to know about the Bulldogs this season. And overall, it was easy for them as they locked up their finals berth. Another one of the informed teams of the competition. 10 wins in the second half of the season. And in an absolutely mouth-watering affair, they will play Hawthorn in week 1. I don't think I've seen in my lifetime 2 informed teams this hot go up against each other week 1. This would be like if last year Carlton and GWS played each other week 1. One team is going to come out of this inferno, the other's going to be out, and I cannot wait to show you it all throughout week 1. Giants are a little bit sloppy, but I'm not really that concerned about them. The Dogs are just an absolute great trade, and it's what this result speaks way more about the Bulldogs. Jesse Hogan didn't have to do much. He already locked up the Coleman, and he already only has 2 goals. Had 2 goals for the game. But Sydney and GIS will seed into the 1-ranked Swans, which means we get a battle of the bridge week 1, which I am just so thrilled about. Those finals are incredible when you see it, and we will see it once again. But the Bulldogs, I had criticisms over their inconsistency early, but inconsistent is what they are not. They are consistent and on a roll. Welcome to the finals. With 2 spots locked up, this leaves the game against Carlton and St Kilda. And the energy around Marvel Stadium throughout this was just insane. One thing I want to say early though. Whoever threw that water bottle at that umpire in this game is an absolute idiot and should be banned full time by the AFL. You should not be going to games and doing this. Yes, Carlton were getting reamed by the umpires early on, and I did feel some sympathy for them in this fight, but you lost all sympathy when you did that. And what happened later on will show you that the gods of karma can strike. St Kilda just played Ross ball and actually continued playing their very strong, very fluent second half game. Again, their key defenders played really well. Josh Bell likely his final game with the Saints, and their midfield was actually pumping up really strongly. And they just had this nice 10-point margin and gap over Carlton the whole game. But you just felt like Carlton were going to erupt early. They were going to erupt at one point and really start to disrupt the Saints. And one man got through them. Patrick Cripps. All Australian teams get revealed tonight, and I really think this man's the captain. His last 2 games were absolutely phenomenal, and he was trying to set this relatively injured Carlton squad kicking and screaming into the 8s. And eventually his disposals and overall fluent work just paid through, and eventually the Smalls and Owies and Kemp and Jesse Mottler were able to give them a strong lead. And Brody Kemp lined up in front of goal with a chance to send the Carlton Football Club into the finals. And he missed. A brutal miss at the time, but it would be forgiven if Saints didn't get one more opportunity. Then, remember when I said karma is a cruel bitch? Jack Higgins come up with every Carlton fan screaming and agonising in his eyes, and with the spirit of Jamie Elliott inflicted all in him, snaps one of the biggest goals of the season, and the Saints win by 2 points. Carlton's finals destiny is officially in the air, and it was via a late snap by 22. From the easy 2 rank to potentially even missing it, a disgusting outcome looked real for the Carlton Football Club, and their fans were absolutely despairing. The Saints end their season off extremely strong, and my hopes for them have reignited for 25. I'm pretty bullish on St Kilda with this ending. And I think they can bring it into the 2025 season. But not all hope is lost for the Carlton Football Club. They have to sleep with another enemy from South Australia to get a ticket into the dance. We go across the Nullarbor for Port Adelaide v Freo.
I'm calling both.
Fremantle have the opportunity to finally defy fate, as Carlton fans officially replaced their navy blue for a lighter blue for the first time since 1997, putting on any teal they can to get the power over the line. And early on in this game, it looks like the Purple Tide was going to roll through and get the Dockers into the finals. Andrew Brayshaw was having a strong appearance. Caleb Serong was getting the football. Luke Jackson was dominating in the ruck. But then it was just back and forth as the AFL got their ending they wanted for the home and away season. And then the Dockers just stopped. Caleb Serong had zero impact on the ball, and instead the midfield presence was replaced with Jason Horne-Francis, Zach Butters and Connor Rozee, who just did their own part. Todd Marshall and Charlie Dixon started to really play hard roads, and in a cruel sense of irony, it was Willie Rioli, a former West Coast Eagle, someone who had tripped over the hopes of the Fremantle Football Club at many times, who put the dagger into their season. It's a season of what ifs for Fremantle. They kick that late goal against Collingwood on Friday night, they go in. They win any of their last 3, they go in. Hell, if the refs in Adelaide call a hold on Carlton, they go in. But instead, they're left looking at the what ifs and looking at their season falling apart. Port Adelaide have a home final at the Adelaide Oval, and Carlton avoid fate itself and claim the last spot in the 8. You got really lucky there, Carlton, let me tell ya. Would not want to leave it to that next time, because it might not do you as well. But for Freo, they had their chances, and realistically, they probably should be a finals team. But instead, it's going to be a cruel summer on the couch. At least you'll probably get Shea Bolden and Darren Rioli to calm you down. And with that, after a season full of chaos via the 4-umpire system and an overall insane bouts throughout all of it, either via the most even season of all time or a lot of mediocrity throughout the league, that was season 2024. And I hope you all enjoyed the ending of it. And with that, the final series is set. In the first qualifying final, Sydney will play GWS. In the second qualifying final, Geelong will play Port Adelaide. In the first elimination final, Hawthorn will play the Western Bulldogs on the Friday night. And in the second elimination final, Brisbane will play Carlton. Overall, as I'm ending this off, I just want to say thank you. Just want to reflect and say thank you to everyone who has watched this series, these weekend wraps throughout the whole season. It has been so fun to do these weekend wraps every Monday morning or Thursday when we've been able to do them, and I really think that these will be a massive growing point in my pursuit to enter journalism, and I really feel like these weekend wraps are going to be an extremely good example to show. They're far from the finished product of what I want this channel to be, but I think they're an insane growing point, and I truly thank everyone who has watched these, who has taken the time out of their day to watch these as the season has gone on. So thank you everyone. I truly think we'll be looking at these weekend wraps with true happiness and true nostalgia of a true growth point for this channel in my life. And with the regular season done, bring on the finals.